Hi everyone, I'm Raquel.
My name is Nate Milam.
My name is Logan.
I'm a volunteer from Italy,
Bahrain,
India,
and Argentina,
from South Africa,
Malaysia.
I live with 6 rare diseases, 2 of which are genetic.
I was diagnosed with Loeys-Dietz syndrome type 2.
I was diagnosed with a hereditary colon cancer syndrome.
This disease made me 90% physically challenged.
Having learning and speaking difficulties.
He is living with a syndrome without a name.
Rare Disease Day creates visibility and community.
Research and unity.
Changing the world.
Strong together.
To seek new treatments,
improve healthcare,
Awareness, collaboration,
equity, and more inclusion.
To create a better future for everybody.
Hi, good morning. It is so wonderful to see so many colors here and so many people here. And to start off the video of talking about actual patients that have rare diseases and the challenges, and to bring that to life so we can understand why we do what we do. I'm gonna ask you to bear with me for 2 minutes. Imagine, go backwards a little bit. Some of you might be a little too young. Imagine you were in 2004. You're in 2004, you've been in university for about 7 years. And after doing rotations in oncology groups at UPenn, at Children's Hospital for the HIV Center, at the NICUs, you do all these rotations as a pharmacist, as a physician, as a nurse, as a scientist. You're meeting patients one-on-one, and you feel like, it's 2004. Why are there so many patients here? Why is there so much devastation here? And then you do something odd because somebody asked you to, right? You go and spend a day on 5600 Fisher Lane. Does anybody know what 5600 Fisher Lane is, the address for? It was the old FDA building. So going to the FDA building for 6 weeks rotation, within the Department of Orphan Products Groups, so OOPD. And you meet this amazing leader, Dr. Marlene Hefner, that you read on the articles, that has helped Orphan Drug Act go from US and expanded throughout the world. You're thinking, oh, great legislation, I'm here, administrative government office, right? And then you get invited as a student to attend a meeting with patients and families. And because you're not an employee, you're a student, you're sitting in the back corner chair, just grateful to be in the room. And then you hear stories after stories after stories until a mom gets up. And by the 5th story, a mom is saying, begging is the word, access for therapy, because her young son, 4 years old, has a rare disease. It's a disease where time is ticking. They think, the scientists they work with thinks there's a drug potentially mechanistically that could benefit this kid having access to it. But the problem is, a company that has it developed, this is off-label use because they haven't studied it in the clinic for this disease. So they can't make it available just because idea might be that, hey, it could mechanistically work, but there's no clinical, preclinical, scientific data to support it. And this mom is desperately asking the FDA, help me get access to this therapy, because I don't know what else to do. If you were in that spot, sitting in the back room, graduating, about to graduate, thinking about life, how to touch each patient directly one-on-one, what would you do? Everyone has a different answer. What I did is I said, okay, I'm gonna reject my 2-year residency in oncology at CHOP. Instead, I'm actually gonna go to drug development, the dark side, the industry. If industry has all of these drugs available, and if there's so many therapies that I know as a pharmacist, I've studied and memorized all these exams, right? Are there drugs that have mechanisms that could work for other diseases they haven't studied for? And is there a way to bring more hope to kids and families and parents so you don't see the begging? And this day and age, I mean, I was born in a village in India. My parents immigrated with not that much resources, let's just put it that way. Came to the US so we can have better education, independence, so we can have better healthcare, and we can make the world a better place. So the meaning of Rare Disease Day for me started then in 2004. Today, it's 2024. And what I love about the fact is, of my 20 years, last 8 years, I've been fortunate to be part of an amazing company called Rocket Pharmaceuticals. Rocket Pharmaceuticals, I started their career as head of regulatory safety compliance, and had the opportunity from day one, because of our CEO, Gaurav Shah, and our chairman, believe that, hey, a company could be sustainable. It could make a good sense for investors, it could make good sense for researchers, and it makes amazing sense for patients. If we figure out how to do drug development efficiently, if we figure out how to push the envelope, then do things faster and not take 15 years to get an idea to actual clinic and to patients, then we can make a difference. Now, of course, having 3 employees at the time, not even having an office space, how do we do this? Well, you wear all the hats you need to wear. We sacrifice our time with our family. We sacrifice our time with life and our friendship. Why? Because we felt honored that we could be in a place where we could actually create something that can make a meaningful difference in people's lives. Now, here's the thing. There's no heroes. There are plenty of heroes when I talk to patients, moms, dads, advocates. At Rocket, what we have is individuals that are just motivated to make a difference. And every single person in this room, I'm so glad you're part of the Rocket family, because I know you're here. You could be anywhere. You guys are brilliant. We're lucky to have such top talent. You're here because you want to make a difference, right? Right now, I'm lucky that now I get to be president and head of R&D or development, and work with amazing individuals like yourselves to advance the science. And why are we still here? Well, since 8 years ago, we've at least brought 6 products to the clinic, right? 2 of them are heading, hopefully, to an approval for patients. One of them, we went from first in human study in 2019 to today having a BLA under review with FDA, right? In less than 5 years, we did this Herculean effort on midst of COVID challenges, because we know patients are waiting. And if it was my child, it was my dad, it was my sibling, what would I do for them? That's the mentality and that's the passion you all have. And so I'm so honored to be here with you and taking a day away from what we do to advance the science to be here to celebrate and to raise awareness for a cause that is still very real. 2024, in the most developed country with the best resources in the world. The problem is there are still over 7,000 diseases, and we've only made a dent. Now let me show you the dent we made. You see the iceberg? The top is 10% of the iceberg. So only 10% of the 7,000 diseases have a treatment option available, right? In our lifespan, I don't know if we're gonna go all the way down, but I promise you that I know everyone in Rocket is trying to make a dent and get 10% to become 20%, 30%, and to make a difference. And why do we do this, and how do we do this? So you heard about the why, my personal why, Rocket's why. Now let me tell you why, and then what. What do we do? Well, yes, we're working on 6 drugs, and that will help, I think, about 100,000 patients, right? But there are millions of patients suffering. So what do? We raise awareness. Rare disease day like today is a way for us to raise awareness that rare diseases individually might be rare, but so many of us get impacted. And you know, it's impact that happens, a devastation that happens, you feel helpless because you don't know where to go. You don't know if you have the right disease, you don't have the diagnosis, you don't have the luxury of time in many cases. So what we want to do is support families that go through this unfortunate news that they have a rare disease and they don't know where to turn to. Hopefully we can provide them not just awareness, but support. Hopefully all the work we do, amazing work that we do at Cranberry at the research. And I'm excited that we have our basement lab opened up to even do more research and bring more therapies. Hopefully this research brings treatment options that can make a difference. So what we need to know is there are 250 here. I think there are 100 or so people online. 1 in 10 Americans are impacted by a rare disease. I won't give you the rest of the stats because it's coming up on a fun thing we're gonna do later. 1 in 10, look around. Do you guys personally know anybody that's impacted by a rare disease? If you do, can you raise your hand? That's a lot. So even if we chip away at the rare diseases that are impacting you in this room, I think we can make a world of a difference. What we do is it's about collaboration. We're working with the George in Europe that started the Rare Disease Day. We're working with NORD. We're working with amazing patient advocacy groups from Italy to Middle East to UK to raise awareness by showing their stripes that today. And why? Why would you do that? Because you want to tell patients and families that are struggling, don't worry, have hope. You have hope that there are people like us that care. And not only care, will sacrifice a lot to make a difference. Because we know this, it doesn't matter if you live in US or you live in middle of nowhere village in India. When the devastation hits you, you want to make sure there's a treatment available. So you don't lose that one more kid. You don't lose one more family. So that's the lofty goal we have, is no individuals are immune to this. So what can we do to overcome these challenges? We can educate and spread the word. Rare diseases impact so many of us. What's the best way you know that you are impacted or not? As scary as sometimes I know one of the panelists we did in the rare disease a few years ago, a guy said, I contemplated because I didn't want to know. I'd rather not know because once I knew, it was even scarier. If we want to make that process not as scary, if we figure out what the disease is, that's step number one. If we increase genetic testing, we can figure out sooner than it's too late, right? So we're partnering with a lot of individuals and organizations to increase genetic testing. And we've been lucky to learn from individuals like the Jeffrey Models that made newborn screening accessible not to just every state in the United States, but to 30 countries worldwide. That's huge. So we work with people that have done this before. We collaborate, we share knowledge. And then we want to advance clinical trials. You'll say, hey, what's the magic does? What do you mean you did a study from an IND to BLA in 5 years? It's no magic. I'll be honest. It was bringing people with experience. And the first thing we ever did when we talked about LED1 disease, we did a literature search, what we're good at. We're scientists, we're nerds, right? We sat behind the computer, we read every single paper that said anything about LED, read as much as we can, put all the questions that we understood, all the outstanding questions, which were a lot more there. Then we said, where do we go? We looked at all the authors that had case studies, blasted them emails saying, hey, we want to learn more. And we were lucky that some responded back. Others actually went even further saying, hey, I have patients, I have families, you want to meet them? So we flew around. I went to India, Jonathan went to South America. We flew around and we said, before we even design a clinical trial, let's see the patients and the families and the treating physicians. Let's learn from them what's important. And their feedback was embedded into the clinical studies we design. When you do clinical studies that are meaningful, it saves time. It makes it easier for us to see, is the drug working? Does it have a potential for benefit? What's the risk and how do we mitigate that? That's how we advance science. And then we try to inspire next generation of individuals by hosting things like this, by partnering with high schoolers in STEM activities and having a science day. Because let's be honest, even if we do this every single day of our lives and give up everything to do this, we're only going to make a little bit of a dent. So we need next generation or two to really eliminate all the rare diseases that exist. So having more therapies, Rocket's mission, our mission, everyone here collectively, it all goes hand in hand. That's why I love what we do here. The passion that comes through in each and every one of you is the reason I'm here, and I'm motivated to struggle through, to make sure the ups and downs that we have, we support each other because there are kids, there are families, and there are patients that are waiting for us. And you'll hear from some of the families that are impacted later today. So what's another way besides that? Well, you can even do something fun as light up a building, right? So we started lighting up Empire State Building about 5 years ago. Deirdre's here, Gayatri's here. That was not an easy task. It took a lot to do that. The first time around, the second time around, and now it's a piece of cake. Last year, I think we worked with all the organizations around the world to get over 120 monuments lit up, right? That's pretty cool. Now, why? It gets the conversation going. Imagine if your football stadium, it doesn't even have to be monuments it could be even your house lit up, right? At Christmas time, people know why it's lit. Random February 29th, February 28th, when you have lights in front of your house that are all beautiful colors, people in your neighborhood will start asking, what are you doing? What's that for? Somebody's birthday? What are you celebrating? You could say, I'm celebrating Rare Disease Day awareness. I'm celebrating my support for patients that really need it. And that just increases the awareness. So something simple as Light Up for Rare is something that Rocket is doing, and I'm proud of it. And not just Rocket current team members. I think I had told somebody the story about a dozen prior Rocket team members that are in other places, and we're so proud. They're going to other companies, research, et cetera. They've reached out saying, I'm doing this at my company. I'm doing this in my neighborhood. And to me, that's the power, exponential power that each and every one of us have. So with that, I hope that answers why you're here, what we do, and what our ultimate goal is. So, Kinnari Patel, President and CEO, and a very fortunate person to work with amazing people like you. And I know you don't want to hear me talk and make you sad, and I know there's a tissue box here waiting, so we thought we'll do something a little more fun and different today. Now, I know some of you know rare diseases because I've seen you here every single year, and some of these facts are not new, right? Sadly, they're still the same facts. But some of you are new to this. So I'm gonna ask you to get your phones out. Can you do the QR code up here, please? We're gonna play a little Jeopardy. Thanks to our wonderful team, we've put together a nice game to make it more interactive. So let's give it a minute. Once everyone has, oh, sorry, we're gonna go. Okay, you guys give me a thumbs up when you think it's ready, your phones are ready to go. And those of you online, you can do the QR code as well. We see all the names pop up. As soon as you log in, we'll see your names pop up. I was infamous in my college, and I was pretty good at school. I was infamous that if somebody said the same boring lecture and over, I'd fall asleep, to a point where the dean said, do you want a pillow in that class? Right? So I figured to not have you guys fall asleep, we'll change it up this year. All right. We'll give it 2 more minutes. Those of you that are not as technologically savvy, look around. Your neighbors can help you. And those of you online, look at the amazing names that are popping up. I think 1 more minute. Race against time. Few of you, you still have your phones up. All right. Jonathan, you got it? You're good? Okay. I think somebody help Megnath. He's left. All right. I think we got everybody's phones down pretty much. All right, so get ready for some music, get ready for answers, and get ready for some competitiveness that Rocket absolutely has in our blood. We are who we are, type A personalities. Ready? Question number 1. What is a definition of a rare disease in the US? All right. 200,000. Wait, go back, sorry. Can you go back? All right, we're gonna take 30 seconds here. So, fun fact to remember, in the US, when you apply for orphan drug designation with the FDA, at that time, that year, that disease can only impact 200,000 or less Americans. And the reason for that is if you apply for Orphan Drug Act, you have some benefit of more discussions with the agency, as well as some other support that you can have to advance your therapy in a very collaborative fashion. As well as PDUFA fee costs and et cetera are waived at the end if you make the drug all the way to submission for approval. So 55 of you got it. The rest of you, I'm sure you're not gonna forget your color and you'll remember it for the future. And you're gonna spread the word on that. All right, next question. Oh wait, I don't have the clicker. I think I need help, Sean. All right, true or false? 75% of the rare disease affect children. Unfortunately, 3 out of 10 won't make it by the age of 5. Sadly, very true. So 3 out of 10 kids with a rare disease won't see of their 5th birthday. I have a 30-month-old kid. She coughs, she sneezes, I don't know what to do, and I feel helpless. Imagine what the families are going through that have kids with this rare disease. And this is why I love the fact that at Rocket, kids are not afterthought. We're not developing therapies for adults, and then one day we'll think about the kids. We're developing therapies for the kids, the adults, whoever needs it, because it's devastating. And LAD-1 is a great example of that, where 2/3 of the kids unfortunately die by the age of 2. And we've treated 9 kids, and if the drug gets approved, maybe we can get this available to patients that really need it before it's too late. So, drug development, science, we are going after things and patients that really need it. And kids are a really vulnerable population. So, thank you. Next question. How much time does it take to get an accurate diagnosis? Years. On average, it takes a person 5 years from doctor to doctor, eventually finding a center, eventually finding the right diagnosis. Now, if we're talking about the prior stats, if a kid doesn't make it till the age of 5, how many kids are passing away without even knowing the diagnosis? So something simple as genetic testing, which used to be enormous in cost 20 years ago, is available for a few $100s, right? And most insurances in the US covered. So genetic testing and the importance of that is so critical because that's the first hurdle, unfortunately, that patients face. Next question. How many people, I said 1 out of 10 Americans before, I did not give you the answer. How many people are affected by rare diseases in the US? All right, 25 to 30 million Americans are impacted by rare disease. That's a lot of people, right? I love the emotions coming out here. That means you really care about these answers and knowing and are surprised and are a little bit competitive too, clearly. All right, next question. Over 80% of the rare diseases are genetic in nature, true or false? That's a lot, right? Thank you, Rocket team. I was hoping that this one gets the most right answers because we're a gene therapy company. I was hoping you knew why we're a gene therapy company. All right, so if 80% of rare diseases are genetic in nature, what is one of the best ways you can actually potentially treat it, correct it at the gene of interest, cell of interest, and potentially cure it with one-and-done therapy for life? Through gene therapy, ex vivo lenti, AAV, various aspects. So I'm proud of you guys for that one. The 7, we gotta talk. All right, next question. Do people with rare diseases report feeling depressed compared to general population? 3 times more likely. So when we talk about awareness, support, lighting a fire, it gives them hope. It gives patients and families hope to fight their depression. You have enough to deal with, and then you find a disease. You don't know what to do. There are no treatment options, and the clock is ticking. So imagine if you had to unfortunately go through that. So one of the things that we've done, and we continue to do, is when you think about what we do, it's trying to save a life and trying to cure a life. But we need to look at everyone holistically. At Rocket, we talk about integrating a whole person's life. Your outside life, your inside life, your professional work life gets intertwined, right? We're one human being. So to really help these patients, helping them and providing them support systems that they can partner for support groups, kids' days, where I think FARF organization, Camp Sunshine, if those of you that don't know upstate Maine, they have every week devoted to kids with rare life-threatening diseases or life-threatening diseases, period. Kids get to come there and be with other kids that have similar diseases and feel normal for that week or those few days. So they're amazing organizations that are trying to make everyone feel that you have support beyond therapies that scientists are working on. And later today, we're fortunate that Dr. David Nichter is going to talk about meditation and how to help fight through depression, think about your whole health. Okay, next. This one, I mean, come on, this is a cheat answer. Of the 7,000 diseases, only more than 90% still do not have therapies available in the US. True or false? Okay, so 2 of you slept through my opening remarks. I'm not insulted, don't worry. I expect a lot more people to sleep through my opening remarks, so 2 is not that bad. So this is why we work not just in doing what we do, sharing our knowledge, but working with health authorities around the world, like FDA, and even research institutions like the NIH and CMAT in Spain, so we can actually change policies, guidances, regulations to make it easier for more drugs to be approved and more good science to get to drugs to patients. All right. So, next. I think this is the last one, if I remember correctly. Nope, yep. How many wait, is this? Oh, yeah. How many million people are estimated to be affected by rare disease worldwide? Not US, but worldwide. How many individuals are impacted by a rare disease? All right, 400 million. So they're not alone. We're not alone. 400 people in the world are impacted by a rare disease. Now I'm going to go back to a question I asked initially, but I'm going to change it up a little bit. When a person in your family has a health crisis, health issue, right? Who is impacted? Is it just that one person? Is it just your mom, your son, your sibling? The whole family, right? So while 400 million individuals are impacted by rare disease themselves, if you say even 3 or 5 of their loved ones, family caregivers, it's over 1 billion people that are living with devastation of rare diseases. I think sometimes we don't recognize how hard it is to be a caregiver, how hard it is to be a parent, how hard and helpless you feel that you can't work with the ups and downs. So for us, being there for each other and helping rare disease communities come together so they have support and they don't feel helpless on those days where it's just everything's falling apart, I'm thankful to have that support in my life, teams at Rocket, and in my family, right? But what I love about Rocket and the team is what we want to do is just not make a difference just in our own lives, but in the lives that are a lot bigger and a lot more impactful globally and in our communities. So thank you for taking the time to volunteer in your communities and give back and give the support that everybody needs. So I think that was the last question. Keep me honest. All right, so, oh, Romy, good job. Who's number one? SCK. Who's SCK? Susanna. Yay! What's really cool is these are not just all the scientists. This is a representation, the cross-representation and diversity and the backgrounds of individuals that make Rocket Rocket. So I love the fact that we have GNA and we have the R&D organizations in top 3 podium. So I hope you guys found this to be a little different. You were a little more awake, and hopefully these things, you can go home today and talk about it with your loved ones. I absolutely welcome and plead and actually ask you that put stuff on social media, raise awareness, right? It's like when we were in the midst of COVID, and I was living in Manhattan in a 1-bedroom apartment, working away, and it was devastating, and all you hear is sirens. But you know, when they started that at 7 o'clock, just bang whatever things that you have, hopefully pots and pans that don't break, and give support because people are listening. The nurses, the healthcare providers that were struggling and still making it to the hospitals and taking care of patients, create that noise, create that volume, right? We can do this in this world. We can overcome things like COVID as one world. Doesn't matter of the background, the diversities, the country you're part of. I think we can overcome rare diseases as one rocket, one world, working to make a difference and trying to save lives. So with that, I want to say today would not have been possible, especially with everything else that's going on, if we didn't have our sponsors. Because what's really cool, and I wish those of you that are online, you could have been here in person. We're at an amazing, amazing, amazing venue, right? What do you guys think about this venue? Liberty Science Center is so appropriate because we're talking about science, we're talking about kids, we're talking about families, and we're talking about future, hope, planetarium, and rocket. So I can't imagine a better venue that we could be here, and I want to thank our partners and supporters at Lanza for helping us make this possible. And I also want to really thank Rod and Marty. Rod's our chairman of the company that founded the company with Gaurav. So I really want to thank them because every year they keep supporting us, and RTW keeps supporting Rare Disease Day and things to give back to the community. So really appreciate that. And BW Health Group, really appreciate you being here and sponsoring us. So different teams, different companies come together to help make this possible. And then I want to take a minute to recognize the next slide. This would not be possible if it wasn't for you. There are so many amazing, oh wait, I think I have the clicker, No, I have the clicker. Rare Disease Day planning takes a lot, right? A lot of work. And I want to take a minute to thank our team members that applied to be part of this amazing committee that worked relentlessly on top of their day job, on top of their family time to make this happen. So if your name is on this list, please stand up. Brandy, Kirti, Leslie, Ingrid, Gloria, Chuck, Madeline, Kevin, Anne-Marie, Latika, Jignesh, Diana, Sweta, Rohini, John, Charlie, Anne, Andrea, Noel, and Erica. Your passion, your commitment, your attention to detail, and the love you put in making this day special, thank you. Thank you. So with that, I get to hand it off. I think this morning somebody had said, hey, I used to work with Latika at BMS, and I can tell you some stories. Well, just a fun fact, guys. I don't know if you guys know, I knew Latika in 1998. We went to college together at Philadelphia College of Pharmacy. She might have some stories, which I'll bribe her to make sure she doesn't share that, or the yearbook pictures. Yes, we did have yearbooks there. I was editor-in-chief for my college yearbook, and now we have yearbooks at Rocket. Deirdre, we thought you were falling a little bit behind, so we'll get there. But I am so lucky that all the worlds collide. We all keep coming together, intertwining, and that's what it shows. That somebody I went to college with is unfortunate has joined Rocket because the care, the attention, the passion, that she puts into every single patient at Rocket that we're working with, whether natural history, clinical trials, or just any patient anywhere reaching out for help. She cares for them with so much dedication, as if it was her own family member. So we're so lucky to have a patient advocate individual that thinks of this as her life's mission and loves to make a difference in every single person's life. So we're inspired by the work that you do and absolutely humbled to have you as part of our team. So with that, Latika, please come on up.
We'll definitely leave it up to Kinnari to wake us all up with the quiz. And well done, everybody. And Romy, I saw that you did really well, so shout out. So recently, I read Atomic Habits by James Clear twice. Whatever I read, I always tend to think about how it can relate to the rare disease community and the patients that we serve and our work and our commitment here at Rocket. So you might be wondering, what the heck does a book about habits have anything to do about rare disease? Here's how. So James defines atomic habits as small, incremental changes that are easy to do, but they compound over time, like money. There are small adjustments in what we can do on a day-to-day basis that can lead to transformative outcomes, much like how atoms come together to form a larger structure. I see our rare disease patients, individual patients, our rare disease warriors, as I always think of them in my head. I see them as atoms. And they have the ability as individuals to come together and make a really big difference. And I've seen it in my own life, interacting with the patient community. Sometimes I speak with patients, and they're all in different parts of their patient journey, from newly diagnosed or not even knowing what's wrong to years ahead of where they used to be. And many of them feel helpless, they feel alone, they feel lost, and they don't think that they can do much as an N of one. I disagree. And I think James Clear would too. There are small things that you, me, we can do on a day-to-day basis that can generate compound interest and enormous impact over days and years. I'll give you an example. About 13 years ago, a mom realized that there was something wrong with her two sons. They eventually got a diagnosis of Danon disease. She found out that she has Danon disease herself, and she never heard of such a disease. She didn't know anybody who had it at that time, so she started a Facebook page, just a Facebook page. And over time, it started to grow. All of these people started to contact her from different continents, all over the world. And now that rare disease Facebook group grew to be about 500 people. And what she did after that was she was getting sicker herself, but what she did was she actually created a foundation out of it. And it's making a lot of impact. We partner with them, and they do a lot of good. So even if you're small, you could be mighty, just like Rocket. And there's a lot of patient communities that are listening online, so shout out to our patient communities. There are things that we can all do, that you can do in your day-to-day life, that can make a really big difference. Both here, Rocket team members, but also our patient community. The first is listen. Knowledge compounds. Some of the stories that you're going to hear on stage today will really deepen your understanding of some of the diseases and some of the things that people go through behind the curtain. Our guests today, they're heroes in their own right. You will hear their stories, some of them deeply personal, some of them sharing their stories for the very first time in a large venue. I really hope that you will be able to take something away and go back to your work and know that you're going to be making a meaningful impact in their lives one day, in their children's lives, in generations to come. If you're a patient out there and listening, test. Make sure you're counted. Genetic testing is scalable and becoming more accessible. And you'll hear more about that today with Greg and Becky. And they're going to be talking a little bit more about how that can make a big impact. Also, if you're a patient, participate. Participate in natural history studies. That's the number one question I get right now is, what's a natural history study and why should I participate? Why should I get involved? And it's really important that you do. Natural history studies are critical. It's the only way that we have a organized system of really understanding these rare diseases to an extent where they can impact how clinical trials are generated, what kind of outcomes we're going to measure, and you serve as your own control if you get treated. So they're really, really important. And lastly, aggregate. Your community, you're too rare to be fragmented and not come together. So come together, do an inventory of what different people in your community can do, who has what strength, identify who's good at what, make it real, and also share pics, share videos, so that the scientists, especially those of us who are in the room today, can really understand what it is that you go through. So I urge each and every one of you to create your own system of compound growth. Focus on small change that can be good for a whole larger group of people. And I would urge you to do something simple today. Be kind. Be kind to somebody. Because I really believe the more that you help others, the more people will want to help you. So the faces that you see on these slides, Becky, Abby, Greg, Altaf, and our special guest, David, who will be leading a meditation session, everybody has had their own journey. I'm not going to give away too much because I think they have some very special things that they're going to share themselves. But I can tell you that I've met with each one of them individually, and Erica and I, and these people have blown me away. And I really believe that they will too. So I urge you to sit back, relax, and also be kind to somebody today. Thank you.